One of the hardest jobs in the world is to be a parent, but when you're doing that alone, it's even harder still. Today, my guest is Linda Hopkins. She's a single mum, and she's going to talk to us about how she deals with being a single parent and all the stress that entails and how she manages it. So Linda, tell me, you've got one son, I think, haven't you?
Good morning, Tricia. Yes, I do. I have a little boy. Well, not so little. He's 11, turned 11 last week, catching me up. Yeah, 5 foot tall and size 6 feet. But yeah, and I've been on my own with him since he was 16 weeks old. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey for us.
Wow, so that's a long time, isn't it? And of course, we don't, it's rare that people enter into parenthood intending that it should be a journey alone. But to have that from the age of 16 weeks must have been really, really tough on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, I didn't enter into parenthood thinking it was going to be a single parenting journey. But that's the way it turned out. And yeah, it's been a real roller coaster, and you know, some great highs, as every parent knows, but a lot of lows, a lot of the Groundhog Day stuff, and yeah, and yes, a lot of stress at times, indeed.
Yeah. So what would you say, Linda, is the most challenging thing about being a single mum?
I think, you know, there's a few things. Physically and mentally, it's challenging. You know, physically, you are just doing everything all the time, and there's very little respite. You know, you've got to do everything. You've got to run the house. You've got to manage the kids, manage schooling, all of that stuff on your own. So you're sort of doing everything all the time. But also emotionally, I think, you know, I've had many times where I've got up in the morning, I've looked in the mirror and thought, oh, how did I get here? And I have felt this crushing weight of responsibility for raising this child on my own, and everything that goes with that, and thinking, gosh, there's still a long road ahead. You know, it does get easier as they get older, but you have different challenges along the way. But yeah, I think just the weight of it all, physically and emotionally, is a lot sometimes.
Yeah, because it's not just the day-to-day, you know, putting food on the table and shoes on the feet and so on. It's about, you know, creating a human being that's going to be able to function in the world outside of your relationship. So, you know, the pressure of that must be really tough as well.
Yeah, and I'm very mindful as a mother of a boy that, you know, in fact, I am growing potentially somebody's husband. And that's a really important thing for me to consider. You know, I want to have a son who, you know, is a good man and is a good man in the world for the people that are around him. And that also feels like a big responsibility as a woman, to make sure that I'm growing a good man, you know, and I'm sure many other parents feel the same.
Yeah. And sorry, you can see my dog in the background there. This is JJ, everyone.
Oh, hello, JJ.
So you mentioned, you know, there's some great highs and some great lows, and I would very much doubt that the highs come in directly after a low. You know, it's not like it's a drip feed of a perfect balance. So how do you create the balance for yourself?
Oh, crikey. Yeah, that's the ongoing question, isn't it? You know, we all talk about life, work, balance and all that sort of things. And I would say it's probably not very elegant with us, as are a lot of things, you know, that we just do the best we can on a daily basis. And, you know, if I find myself in a low, I have to push through it in whatever way I can, you know, get myself through it. So, yeah, I think it's really important to make sure you build in self-care. And again, that's a phrase that is well used, but rightly so. And I think women particularly, we could all be better perhaps at making time for the self-care and not seeing it as a luxury. It's an essential. We have to be well, and we have to be fit and able in mind and body to be able to look after our kids. So it's really important that we do those things that give us the break or give us something pleasurable to hang on to, so that we can get through the next phase, whatever that might be. And there is always this, this roller coaster, and it's just putting enough good stuff in to keep you topped up, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, keeping topped up is a good way of looking at it, because it's kind of building those reserves to help you to deal with the challenges as they come. And of course, with children, each phase in life is going to bring a different level of challenge. But I think I see it very often in my clients, and I'm not sure if you experience the same thing, where it's just so easy to put your needs last. And then you're trying to function from a depleted state. So that means making decisions that are from a brain that's just overworked, overtired, and not nourished enough. So it just makes life a lot more difficult, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And, the big one is sleep. And again, I'm sure many parents out there, single or otherwise, will, be nodding along with that one. If you are not getting decent sleep, you are just not capable of functioning at even a sort of an average level, let alone a peak level. And for years and years, I've had trouble with sleep, and I resisted medication for many years. And I will say now, for about the past year, I was struggling with anxiety and I wasn't sleeping, and I was really anti taking anything for that. But I got myself into such a low state purely through not having enough sleep. I was waking up with jitters early in the morning, and I went to see my GP, and she just said, you need to do something. You've got to do something, because you've got to get out of this cycle of depleted sleep where you're not functioning well, and everything else then becomes so much harder to deal with. You're on the brink of tears all the time. I often felt like, when you see little children who are crying because they're so tired, I often felt like that. And that's not a good place to be in when you're trying to manage yourself, let alone trying to manage yourself and a child.
Yeah. I like to look at natural ways of helping sleep. So there are some things that you can do. And I've got a Sleep Well MP3 as a thank you for today's interview. I'm happy to give that to you, because the more natural your sleep is, the more restorative it is. With sleeping tablets, what you get is closed eyes, but it's not as restful or restorative as a natural sleep. So, if anybody wants to talk about how to have better natural sleep, then do get in touch with me separately. But it's giving you some respite in your pattern anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I absolutely advocate what you're saying. And I think I was at a point of actually really extreme. I've been dealing with some really difficult stuff personally for a number of years, and I'd had a big sort of build up to that. But I've got some great meditation stuff that I will put on to sleep. I've got a really nice root chakra meditation.
Nice.
The root chakra, I believe, is all about security and safety, and it's sort of the base chakra. So I've got a root chakra meditation that I will listen to as I go off to sleep. And I can't tell you what the latter half of it is, because I'm always asleep by then. So I think that's nice to sort of put that stuff in as you're going to sleep as well.
And what's interesting is that even though you're asleep, it will be going into your unconscious mind anyway. So that the rest of the meditation will still have a positive effect on you. So you mentioned about kind of building your reserves. What are the kind of things that you do that is self-care, that helps to pick you up when you're feeling a little bit low?
I like to be with people. That's been challenging during the last months. And a big part of what I like to do is, we call them walkie-talkies. Instead of meeting your friend in a cafe for a coffee, get your takeaway coffee and go and have a walk, be outside, be in nature. And I've got a couple of good friends who I will walk with. And, I've missed that. I've really missed that during lockdown, but starting to sort of do that over the last few months. And I'm always up for people to take me out for a walkie-talkie. That's good, because you're getting the fresh air, you're getting the exercise, and also the company. I find I'm alone a lot, so it's really good for me to be around other people and to be around positive people. Choose wisely who you are around. And I think when you're down, you've got to have people around you that are going to listen and lift you up, but not get into a cycle of bitching about problems with you, or, oh, let's go and have a bottle of wine and all that sort of stuff, because that for me doesn't work. That might work for some people, but I know that doesn't work for me. That would just get me potentially lower or crosser or whatever. So it's doing those uplifting things and walking, being outside, any sort of a physical therapy treatment is really important to me. And again, I've missed that massively. So I'm starting to think about getting back to some of that, like reflexology. And we have a wonderful reflexologist that as well, Siobhan, and I was seeing her reasonably regularly before lockdown, just for, I think physical touch is really important, especially when you're a single person or a single parent, to have some sort of physical connectivity of a nurturing, caring nature is really, really important. So, have a massage, or, even if you're giving yourself a foot rub, I know some of these things cost money and we don't always have the funds to do that. But, I get into the habit of, I've got a really nice foot cream, giving myself a little foot massage every night at bedtime, just to sort of have a few moments of self-care.
So reflexology is an interesting one because it can work on the emotions as well. So it has actual psychological benefit and physical benefit. And the touch of someone else, which sounds a bit rude, but it creates oxytocin, which is the love hormone. So it makes you feel cozy and loved, if you like. So it is for somebody who's very social, that's something that will give far more than somebody else who might be more of an introvert. So there's so much to do about that. And just picking up about the foot cream, what I've started to do is just invest in a really lovely body lotion, and just really making more of that as an experience, so that it's kind of nurturing for me as well.
Absolutely. And back to the reflexology, I started having reflexology to help with my anxiety, because I absolutely believe that they can work on those points, and it, for me, it was a calming experience, and obviously the added benefit of having that nurturing touch from somebody that you've got a nice relationship with. And I think that it's, I always feel that people doing those sorts of treatments, they're often very giving characters, and they're generally very nice people to be around because they are in that sort of environment.
I've had a lot myself though, and I agree with what you say, but there are people where all you feel like you're doing is waiting for them to finish rubbing your feet. It's like they don't.
You have to choose wisely. It's a bit like massage. You can either be getting rubbed over with a bit of oil, like a turkey being basted, or you can be having a lovely therapeutic deep tissue massage. So you've got to choose wisely.
So it's kind of bringing a spiritual element almost to it, isn't it? So so finding the right person is really, really important. Okay. And I know that you you've got your little routine that you have, don't you? Do you want to share with us what that is?
Or which one are we talking about?
So many to choose from. You showed me.
Oh, okay. My book. Yeah. So, I'm something that I love, positive affirmations. I don't do enough of them. And, we spoke the other day about this, Tricia, and you raised a point. It's remembering to do these things that are good for you when you really need them, because you don't, sometimes when you're low or stressed or busy, you forget to do those things that would really help you in that moment. So it's having that breathe, stop, remind yourself what's going to be good for you. And I've got a little book that I keep by my bed. It's got a lovely quote on the front. I don't know if you can see that.
Can't see the quote.
Oscar Wilde, be yourself, everyone else is already taken.
Oh, nice.
And inside I've got a whole bunch of affirmations, and if I see something great or I hear something great, I'll either print it out and stick it in, or I'll write it in. And I've got here, there's 8 affirmations to say in the morning before getting up. And I don't do them every day, but I sometimes do them, and I pick it up from time to time when I'm feeling low. And I won't read them all out, but the idea is to say them 2 or 3 times. Even if you say them once, say them a few times in the morning, read them through to yourself, and just sit and have a moment. And, you know, the first one is, I am feeling healthy and strong today. I have all that I need to make this a great day of my life. I have all the information I need to solve any challenges that come up today. I have the knowledge to make smart decisions for myself today. And there's a few more going through. And there's one that I've handwritten down here at the bottom with a couple of hearts. And that's really my go-to, covers everything, take a moment affirmation. And it is, I am safe in the universe and all life loves and supports me.
So those are really beautiful, and they're quite universal, aren't they? I don't know anybody alive that wouldn't benefit from those as belief systems. So affirmations are interesting. So if we say an affirmation, I am safe in the world and I have everything I need, if we say it like that rote, it has no effect. But when we say it kind of emotionally, it can really kind of get into your, not literally your DNA, but it can feel like part of you, and you can own it much more easily during the day as well. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And something I heard during lockdown, and it was a lady, she had some sort of positive affirmations to make children feel happier. She actually said, if you sing an affirmation, and she had a particular one, which is fabulous. And I sometimes sort of sing it in my head, but apparently if you sing an affirmation, because you're singing it, it goes into your brain at a deeper level, because you've got sort of a melody and a rhythm with it, which I thought was quite interesting.
I suppose it depends how good your voice is. I don't think that would work for me. I've got a terrible voice.
My voice isn't great, but you know what? I don't care. And I think sometimes it's good to, sometimes I'll sing it loudly in the car when I'm on my own. My son just rolls his eyes if I do it when I'm with him. But
my husband rolls his eyes when I sing. But actually, singing is really uplifting. So although I don't have a great voice, it's massively uplifting, isn't it?
It is, and it's very good for the breathing, because as you're singing, you're having to take big breaths in, and I mean that's another one. We could do a whole topic on breathing. And again, I've done some work around that, and I think I have lots of different things, and I dip in and dip out, and I wouldn't say there's one thing, but I have lots of little things that, depending on the day and how I'm feeling and what I'm thinking of, these things will come to me in a moment. It might be the breathing, it might be an affirmation, it might be, EFT, we talked about that, tapping. That's another thing from time to time that I use. So I think finding things that you like doing, and not getting caught up in what works for somebody else as well. You should do this, you should do that. No, do what you like and do what makes you feel good.
Do what works for you. And just picking on a point that you made, Linda, about, I can't remember how you said it now, but I tried to do it with something. One of my tips that I give is, when you want to get into routine, and it's hard to make that routine work for you, what's good is to attach it to something else that you already do. So for example, I teach people EFT, and I say, right, I want you to do it at least once a day, just because, however you're feeling, because it sets you up well for the day. And do it before you brush your teeth, because you're not going to not brush your teeth, but you might forget to do EFT. But if you make it a rule that you do EFT and then brush your teeth, then you'll do the EFT, or it's much more likely that you will. And that's how you build something helpful into more of a habit. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And I try and listen to, sometimes a bit of personal development on Audible while I'm unpacking the dishwasher, or while I'm driving the car doing the school run. So I think if you can attach it, even if it's just for time efficiency, if you can fit it in alongside something else, there's nothing to stop you listening to some positive affirmations while you're cleaning the kitchen.
Or an uplifting podcast or something. There are so many things.
There are lots of those, actually, some really good stuff on podcasts. So we're lucky, we have access to lots and lots of freely available resources, and I think we just need to be better at making the time and give ourselves permission to take the time to do these things, to look after ourselves.
It's something that I use when I say when I use hypnosis with people is, I deserve it, it's safe, and I allow it. So some people think that they're not deserving of something, or there's something unsafe about it. But if you think that it's safe to actually improve, or you deserve that, or then you're more likely to allow it. So it's a kind of deservingness and allowingness mostly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
I deserve this.
Touched on this earlier. It's not a luxury. You know, looking after yourself well.
Absolutely.
And that takes a bit of time and a little bit of money. You know, that's okay. That's okay, because we need to do it. You know, it's essential maintenance. You know, we look after our cars, but we're not perhaps so good at looking after ourselves from time to time, are we?
So what is the best thing about being a mum?
You know, you're just connected to this creature, you know, that you've built. And I look at him and I think, oh, I made you. That's amazing.
I know.
And he is amazing. And he is so, you know, some of the stuff that he gets up to and does and says is so joyful. And you know, to your earlier point, maybe I should let you share what we were talking about just before we came in.
That quote.
Saying the quote, yeah.
So we were talking about the benefits and otherwise of Facebook, and I said one of the good things, I saw this quote and I actually use it with some of my clients, and it's whatever I can't even read my own writing. Whatever you must do today, do it with the confidence of a 4-year-old in a Batman cape.
And I think that says it all. You know, the funny part. Yeah, the funny times, the joyful times. Yeah, he's really into his music at the moment, and he'll be sitting there watching a YouTube video with his headphones on, and he's singing at the top of his voice, and he's getting right into it. And I just watch him and think, oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
It's kind of
those little pockets of joy.
Pockets of joy, and also not taking ourselves too seriously sometimes. So the job of a parent is, of course, very serious. But you don't have to, I'm not a mum, but we don't have to take ourselves so seriously in it. And if we bring that kind of silliness and lightness of touch, it brings a lot more joy into, you know, what can be a very challenging role.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, there's a whole subject of playful parenting. And, you know, I've got a good friend who really advocates that. And, you know, I'm reminded of things from time to time with that. And I think that's an area where I could do more. I could try and be more playful and more, you know, inject a bit of silliness and fun into the proceedings sometimes when it all feels a bit too serious. Yeah, silliness is definitely worthwhile. So for today, then, go through your day with the confidence of a 4-year-old in a Batman cape, just kind of going for. I love that. That's fantastic. And I'm going to share that with a few of my colleagues. Yeah. Well, it's been really lovely talking to you, Linda. Thank you ever so much. And have a really lovely, playful weekend. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you soon, Tricia. All right. You take care now. See you. Bye.